What color was the animal you saw?
Black.
Whatever it was, it didn't want me walking up towards it.
We saw eyes shining, perhaps 7 feet off the ground.
There's some kind of a primate running around the woods.
This animal uses alternate routes. He's got a thought process.
It's hairy, smelly, it lives in the darkest swamps.
Bigfoot hunting is nothing like any hunting that you've ever done before in your life.
I'm Ken Gerhardt, and I am the monster hunter.
Houston, Texas, the largest city in the Lone Star State, and the 4th largest in the United States. It is also the city that Ken Gerhardt calls home, the place where he spends 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, working for a prominent Houston insurance company.
From 9 to 5, I'm punching the time card, but on the weekends, when I have a little time to myself, or occasionally when I have a holiday coming up, I like to hunt monsters. I haven't seen Bigfoot. I would love to see Bigfoot. I'm an investigator, and I'm very curious, and I think this is one of the enduring mysteries of humankind, particularly modern humankind. It would certainly be the find of the century. No one can dispute that.
To be part of the find of the century is what spurs Ken on, feeds his passion, and brings him to the 5th annual Texas Bigfoot Conference in search of up-to-date information that will put him on the trail of Bigfoot.
Bam Bam. This is Ken. Hey, guess what? Guess who just called me? Jim Lansdale, up at Monster Central. Yeah, this is it. This is the chance we've been waiting for. He said we can head up there right now if we want to go do some research this weekend. I think Chester's going to meet us up there too, and this friend of mine, Lee from Louisiana, he's a zoologist. All right, I'm going to start packing it up. Okay, bye. I was born on Friday the 13th of October, 1967. Like most boys, I was fascinated with monsters, and unlike most, I perhaps thought that some might be real. At age 15, I did my first field work at Loch Ness, armed with a little 8mm movie camera. Surprisingly, my friends and family have been very supportive of my monster hunting, particularly my wife, Lori, who I couldn't do this without. Here's my North American map of cryptids, or animals that may not be known by science. The red tacks indicate Bigfoot sightings around North America. Of course, traditionally, most people know of Bigfoot and Sasquatch from the Pacific Northwest of the United States. Here in Texas, in the Big Thicket, we have a good number of sightings. Of course, my expedition that will be going on is going to be up here.
The place Ken is talking about is Monster Central, 60 acres of privately owned property on the border of Texas and Louisiana, known by Bigfoot enthusiasts for its unusually high number of sightings.
Ever since I heard about it, I've been wanting to go up to this place. It's just been really difficult getting up to this place because it's confidential, it's top secret. This is what all Bigfooters dream of, is an opportunity to get into a spot like this where you know you really feel you're going to have a chance to see or hear or experience something. So that's what I'm hoping to accomplish on this trip.
Hey,
Bam Bam!
What's up, man?
How you doing?
Long time no see. How
Yeah,
you doing, friend?
glad you can make it. Come on in.
Great. Couldn't miss this.
Derek Snell not only supports his friend's passion for Bigfoot, he shares it. Known to his friends as Bam Bam, he'll be joining Ken on this expedition.
All right, well, I got some stuff here we're gonna pack up. Of course, my trusty machete that I picked up in Belize. Not gonna go out in the woods without that. I don't know if I told you, but I got a couple other gadgets waiting over at Eddie's we're gonna go check out too.
All right. Let's go monster hunting.
All right.
Modern-day monster hunters on the move, headed for what they hope will be the personal validation that what they've been hunting is really out there.
Going from one world to another, from the concrete jungle to the real jungle.
Friday afternoon, crossing the Texas border into Louisiana. For monster hunters Ken Gerhardt and Derek Bam Bam Snell, it is the first leg of an expedition that they hope could lead them to the legendary Bigfoot.
Bigfoot hunting is a passion. Really, it's an obsession. And it's that quest for truth and knowledge that's really driven me and inspired 3 or 4 generations of Bigfoot hunters. So in that respect, I consider myself part of the new generation, the new breed of Bigfoot hunters.
It is this obsession that brings Ken Gerhardt to this sleepy Louisiana town, surrounded by wooded hills and abundant waterways, known for their excellent hunting and fishing. The locals call the area Sportsman Paradise, but Ken Gerhardt and Derek Snell know it as Monster Central. Jim Lansdale has been the owner of the Louisiana property known as Monster Central since 1990. 60 acres of woods and streams, used as a kind of wildlife preserve, nurturing local deer populations for supervised hunting. It is also home to an assortment of smaller animals, everything from mice to raccoons. But numerous sightings have made it clear to Jim that these aren't the only wildlife on the property. In fact, he believes he has looked Bigfoot right in the eyes.
I didn't believe in this animal. I thought that was a bunch of garbage. And I thought someone had fabricated a story to make money. And then my son and I drove up on one. And it's sitting sideways, had its hands, feet, paws, and it was built like a man. Then he went on in through the brush of the tree line, kept a straight, direct line going west from me. And, but that bottom is where we're gonna do, what we're gonna do tonight. We're gonna go in and locate tonight.
For Ken Gerhardt, it is the moment he has waited for most of his life, the opportunity to come face to face with a legend. It is late afternoon at Monster Central, a section of Louisiana woodland renowned for its Bigfoot sightings. As Ken Gerhardt and Derek Bam Bam Snell follow property owner Jim Lansdale and his crew into the area where they will camp for the next 2 nights, the third member of Ken's research team arrives.
Lee!
Hey, Ken, how you doing?
How you doing, buddy?
Good to see you.
Glad you could make it. Welcome to Monster Central. I guess we can park here.
Lee Hales has a degree in environmental science and science education with a background in geology, zoology, and paleontology. His work experience includes museums, zoos, and an alligator ranch that helped revitalize a once endangered species.
My interest in Bigfoot is, does it exist? And how does it fit in, evolutionarily speaking?
This is my friend Lee from Slidell.
Lee, I'm sorry that you know him. I apologize, partner. How are you?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to
Jim
meet you.
Lansdale. This is Chester Moore.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Chester Moore Jr. is an experienced woodsman, wildlife writer, and cryptozoologist who believes he saw Bigfoot on this very property.
You're thinking that, hey, maybe people don't think I'm crazy, but more people turn out to be interested in it, you know. I'm not saying these things are aliens. I'm not saying they're early man. I'm saying there's some kind of a primate running around the woods. And we want to prove it's real, you know.
Skepticism and disbelief are something every Bigfoot hunter must face. But Ken takes it in stride. As far as he is concerned, seeing definitely is believing. And for him, an important part of the hunt is investigation and documentation of the personal encounters of others. Ordinary people, often too afraid of ridicule to share their story. Ken has researched and spoken to many people in the area. Lynn Johnson is one of them. Early one morning in 1995, she was driving her daughter to school down a rural South Carolina road.
It's a 2-lane road, woods on both sides. And not too far in front of me, from the woods on the left-hand side, just walked this animal. I knew exactly what it was when I saw it, but it just didn't quite register. And then it just kind of slandered across the road and into the woods on the other side. About 7 foot tall, a light brown color, and it was hair from head to toe. Didn't tell anyone right away. And then when I finally did tell someone, of course, they didn't believe me. But I know what I saw, and it was what we all refer to as Bigfoot.
Sean Gregory is another eyewitness that Ken has talked to personally. Sean has had 2 run-ins with something he can't explain, but chose to keep the encounters to himself until now. Sean's first sighting was in 1983. He and a couple of friends were riding their bikes through a North Texas pine forest when they found themselves face to face with a hairy creature less than 30 yards away.
The face looked like a man's face, but wider. The nose was flat, and it had big teeth because it opened up its mouth, but it didn't make a sound. And it was kind of a reddish-brown color, kind of like old pine needles. Long hair coming off the back of its head, kind of, and it just kind of draped down over his shoulders a little bit.
Right.
One of the individuals with me, it's like he just lost his legs. He just fell on the ground. And me and the other individual, we just stood there staring at it. Both of us were terrified. We didn't know what the heck we were looking at. And the whole time, it never took its eyes off of us. It just watched us. And when it finished watching us, it just turned around and just disappeared into the woods.
His second sighting was 4 years ago. Sean and his wife started hearing random sounds they could not identify outside their East Texas home. One night, Sean Gregory went out to investigate, using a flashlight to scan the area between his shed and the nearby woods.
I approached that area, and when I did, it cut out through the woods. It sounded like a freight train tearing stuff up. I don't know what it was, but whatever it was, it didn't want me walking up towards it.
Bigfoot has managed to elude humans for years. But as Ken and his team prepare to take their first foray into the woods of Monster Central, he hopes that will change this weekend.
This is kind of like a dream come true to be out here. I'm not sure what's going to happen tonight, but that's the fun of it, really. You know, being in Bigfoot research, you almost have to be the ultimate optimist.
Oh, yes.
Because a lot of times you're looking for a needle in a haystack, and you just got to have faith that that needle's right there.
Somewhere in Louisiana, not far from the border of East Texas, a team of hunters prepare for their first foray into the woods. Team leader Ken Gerhardt is joined by friend Bam Bam Snell and zoologist Lee Hales. But these are not ordinary hunters. They are in a place known as Monster Central, and the prey is the creature called Bigfoot. Jim Lansdale is the owner of the 60-acre deer preserve and knows from experience that Bigfoot's instincts and intelligence make him a formidable quarry.
Anybody can track a deer. You can shake all that out of your head. It's a different game. Bigfoot hunting is nothing like any hunting that you've ever done before in your life. This animal uses alternate routes. He's got a thought process. But this is 11 or 12-year-old kid thought process, and the reason why I say that is because some of the teepees and some of the formations that they built. Then we're going to take vehicles and we're going to park in areas just so we can locate and see what bedding areas they're coming out of, if they're coming out of these bedding areas. I drive off.
The group breaks off into two parties, one of them made up of Ken and his research team. The bedding areas, or nesting grounds that Jim speaks of, are sprinkled throughout the 60-acre property. Finding them will be the real challenge.
Let's round up and go because we're burning daylight.
Camera?
Cryptozoologist Chester Moore heads off to scout one perimeter of the property. His equipment does not include a camera or recording device. He definitely wants a shot, but one that will lay the Bigfoot legend to rest once and for all. While Chester stalks Bigfoot elsewhere, owner Jim Lansdale takes Ken's team to an area where something has been tearing down deer feeders made of thick plastic tubing. Jim knows that the hunters he allows on the property would have no reason to tamper with them, and that an animal would have to be big and strong enough to open them.
A lot of times he had the bigger feeders with the big metal lid, and the lid would have been pried off and thrown somewhere maybe 40 feet away. And this is how he originally got clued into the fact that there was an unusual animal on his property. Obviously, he had a raccoon, and any other animal wouldn't be able to move and manipulate and really mess up these deer feeders the way they've been messed up.
And whether you believe in Bigfoot or not believe in Bigfoot, there's some animal that's coming down this creek that feeds up and down these creeks. And we know it's not a bear.
Whatever it is, the creature has been smart enough to avoid capture, even on film.
People don't understand it. Why don't you get a photo of one? Well, it's not like we haven't tried. I've hidden them in trees and top of trees. You name it, I've done it. And it's just like they know where my cameras are.
While Jim has had no success photographing Bigfoot on purpose, he believes he's been able to capture the creature by accident while taking a picture of something else.
And there's my dog, obviously, in my Jeep. And you can see two objects standing right there.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I can definitely see the arm.
You can see the arms and the legs and the heads. See the heads? This one's kind of standing sideways where this one's facing me.
Yeah.
Now, I've looked in here many, many times. There wasn't any stumps. These were gone. You are this animal's entertainment. He'll stand there and watch you for hours. Remember, guys, this guy ain't got television to go watch at home. That's all the hell he has to do. You are his entertainment.
That feeling of being watched takes hold of Ken and his team as they set up equipment to do some watching of their own.
What I'm hoping to accomplish here is to get a picture of a Bigfoot creature. Of course, it's something that is almost impossible here. We're trying to get a needle in a haystack to some respect, but the technology's here, so we're just going to leave this fish on the ground. And I also have a video camera and some primate pheromones and different things that we're going to hang up in the trees.
With their traps in place, Ken, Bam Bam, and Lee explore the woods, their senses heightened by the prospects that something is out there, hidden in the darkness.
Right now we're listening for anything out of the ordinary, something that you wouldn't hear in the Louisiana wildlife community. Waiting for a glimpse to be able to see is some of the tracks. Any hair follicles that might be attached to the areas adjacent to it. It's almost like a crime scene. And if you treat it as such and leave nothing, no rock unturned, sometimes you might come up lucky and find something interesting.
We're just trying to tune our instincts into this area, not having ever been here. Basically just trying to get a feel for it, the sounds, the smells.
One strange sound heightens their instincts and puts them on immediate alert.
It's coming from over there.
It's gone.
You hear it? It was quite a ways away, so.
Yeah, let's just listen for a minute because I want to hear if that thing goes off again. And the first.
Well, it sounded more like from this direction, which is about where we have the traps right now.
That's what I thought too.
It's hard to see in there, even with the brightest light. Yeah. It's almost to get up in as thick as you can see. And look at that. You're talking about 15 feet in. You really can't make out anything.
While they can't be sure of what they've heard, it is often what they don't hear from time to time that tells Ken something is out there.
I've heard some very bizarre lulls in the ambient noise here tonight, sort of irregular in these types of woods. I haven't really seen too much yet since I've been out here, but one thing I can speak about is a sort of a vibe or a feeling I'm getting out here in these woods. There seems to be a real air of mystery here in these woods.
The mystery is about to deepen. Ken gets word that there has been a potential encounter in another part of the woods.
So what's happening now? Well, Chester just called us on the radio, and he heard something moving up from the bottoms, which is over in this direction. So.
Ken, Lee, and Bam Bam head in the direction of the other team, hopeful that what they encounter along the way will help them solve that mystery once and for all. It is nighttime on an out-of-the-way tract of land used for deer hunting. But these men aren't combing the darkness for deer. This is Monster Central, and Ken Gerhardt and his research team are looking for the creature known as Bigfoot. A possible encounter has been reported by monster hunter Chester Moore in another part of the woods, and as Ken and fellow hunters Derek Snell and Lee Hales move in that direction, they discover a clue of their own. Property owner Jim Lansdale has told them that there are no large predators like wolves, bobcats, or bears here, but something sizable has used this trail, and the droppings or scat that it left behind show that it is no vegetarian.
See that follicle right there?
Deer turds. It's way too big. It looks really old, though.
Yeah. But it looks like a lot of fiber, though.
Yeah.
Fibrous material that was eaten.
There's a lot of hair in
It's
there.
hair, so it's a predator, possibly. Looks like a foot.
You know, one of the interesting things about it, and people will laugh about scat, is there's people that dedicate their lives to studying it. Why? Well, there's a lot of information in that.
Sure.
It's a very important line of evidence.
That's a little hand. Look at it.
This is a small rodent that was consumed, and there's the incisor. And if we go through this further, we would probably find
the rest of the animal, huh?
Yeah. Cool.
That's cool. Looks like our ride's coming.
Yep. Go back to the campsite.
Seriously. This guy's teaching me stuff. I like it.
It is Jim Lansdale and Chester Moore returning from another area of the property, an area that Chester reports has been very active.
I just followed one of those son of a bitches for about 200 yards.
Really?
Yes, sir. It was there was two of them.
So which direction did it go off?
Toward camp.
Toward camp?
Yeah, back that direction.
Back southeast.
All right.
And there wasn't no deer, there wasn't no hog, there wasn't no cow. It was a two-legged critter.
You let out a
Unfortunately, whatever Chester heard was able to escape into the dark.
Any sign, I went down to a little creek where there was a crossing.
But back at camp, even zoologist Lee Hales finds their initial trek has been useful.
It was really a day to explore, get a feel for it, for the terrain, for some of the wildlife that's here, and like to see how it's going to turn out tomorrow.
Well, I'm hoping to see one of these things. That's what we're all hoping. That's what we're all here for. But if that doesn't happen, I'm hoping to have a good day and maybe we'll find something. See some tracks. You know, some evidence of that what we're looking for is actually here.
The absence of a concrete sighting has done little to curb Ken Gerhardt's enthusiasm or anticipation.
honestly, my position is that I'm very convinced by all the evidence and everything that I've ever read and studied and heard and seen and my field work. However, I've never had an actual visual confirmation of these things personally. And, you know, I'm always going to have that slight skepticism, you know, while we're out here until I actually see it with my own eyes, as convinced as I am, you know. So to me, that's the thing. I want to see one, and I want to be 100%.
Early morning in a patch of Louisiana pinewood. Monster hunter Ken Gerhardt is getting a head start on the day, a day he hopes will lead to an actual encounter with the legend known as Bigfoot. According to landowner Jim Lansdale, it won't be the first. He has had several sightings himself, and so have members of his family.
Well, we're here in day 2 of our expedition to Monster Central, and we're kind of came out to an area out here between some tree stands that Jim had set up, and apparently there's been a lot of good sightings over here. Apparently his son had a sighting about a month and a half ago right near here, kind of out in this area, so I think we're going to go poke around a little bit out here and just see if we can find some sign in this kind of downfall area over here.
The untrained eye might bypass this collection of tangled branches, but the sight of something familiar stops Ken Gerhardt in his tracks.
This seems very similar to some of the what I call Bigfoot nests or shelters that I've found in different areas. Seems like it would be a pretty fair temporary habitat for one of these creatures if it was trying to escape the elements and so forth. I don't see any hairs or really any visible tracks in here, but I think I'm gonna look around the area perimeter and see if I can find some tracks. Well, this is interesting. Probably about 12 inches. This is one of the better impressions that I've seen in the ground. This looks very much like a track. I can't see any toe definition, but you can certainly see a pronounced heel, definitely a foot shape. And it's pretty close proximity to the shelter right over here that I just found. So Jim Lansdale, who owns this property, has told me that many of the tracks he finds around here have sort of that distinct curved shape, as if an animal were walking on the sort of the outside of its feet. That's interesting too. Is that my boot track? It's part of my boot track. A lot of Bigfoot research is just observing and noting, making notes, mental notes of anything that you find that's an anomaly.
One anomaly that Ken and other Bigfoot hunters have found in several active areas of the country is what Ken calls a formation. It appears these formations have been purposely created by something other than nature. This particular hotspot has a lot of them, and Ken turns to Lee Hales for his scientific assessment.
Possibly. What strikes me as particularly interesting about this particular formation is
I know what you're going to say, but
giant
say it.
tree is suspended 90 degrees.
Yeah,
Right in the fork of that tree.
now that's something. Almost you would have to put it in that particular spot to achieve this. Otherwise it would lean one way or the other. That is very curious.
Bowed over.
The formations are so curious that Lee Hales has to admit they are something beyond his experience as a zoologist.
Yeah. There's nothing that I've ever seen in wildlife that would put something together like that. Mm-hmm. These are pretty good size. And being as big as they are, I don't see any branches that might correspond with that. It's interesting, but definitely can rule out any animal activity of the normal. Has anybody come up with a hypothesis why these occur that studied this type of thing in depth?
Not that I'm aware of. The obvious conclusion is that perhaps this is how they mark their trails or locate things. And that's why we refer to them as markers often.
Well, that's certainly nothing that I can really think of off the top of my head that you'd find in North America anyway.
Natural formations or signposts marking the way for a creature with above-average strength and intelligence. It is a question both Ken Gerhardt and Lee Hales hope to answer as they await another night of hunting in the woods of Monster Central.
Branches laid in a...
Did you hear that?
Yeah. So off in that direction, right?
Yeah. Bam Bam said it came from over there.
On the border of Texas and Louisiana, Ken Gerhardt and his monster hunting team feel they are getting closer to finding the elusive Bigfoot. By nightfall, Ken and his team are eager to explore the woods for the creature that might be responsible for the strange tree sculptures they found that afternoon.
I'm interested to see what's off in that direction. We haven't been down that way yet, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
It's trending down. There's water down that way.
Yeah. Jim said his son was down here earlier and was kind of creeped out a little bit.
Yeah.
So
He's saying he's getting sort of a strange vibe while he was down there, kind of that being watched kind of feeling.
It isn't long before the team themselves feel the presence of something else in the woods.
Just get your focus, man. Go ahead. There's this nice little pond we found back here.
Big Iron. Something right over here. We're right on the other side of that pond. Just something moving. Didn't sound very big, but they can walk pretty quiet.
I thought I smelled something a minute ago when we first got here.
Yeah. Something real faint at first, but
Did you hear that?
Yeah. So off in that direction, right?
Yeah. Bam Bam said it came from over there.
Did you hear that right there?
That's it.
All right, you heard that.
and we know we heard something over there. So.
Lee and Bam Bam decide to circle the pond from different directions, hoping to flush whatever's there out into the open towards Ken.
All right. Let's go in.
I'm working my way off along the opposite edge of the lake. And as we come towards each other, just like you would do in a deer hunt, you're going to try and push him out with movement towards somebody that's still. And see if anything moves out. There's something behind me right now.
Lee, you copy?
Go ahead.
All right, I'm over here on the back side of the lake now. Let's squat down for a few minutes. You in position yet?
Yeah, I'm on the opposite side from you right now, I think. Okay, why don't you meet me out on the road there, in the open? You want to start pushing towards each other?
Yeah, let's go ahead and start doing that. See if we can get something to move.
All right, stop me if you hear anything.
yeah, copy that. Lee's in position over here right now, so I'll go ahead and start pushing towards him. See if we can't get what was in there making some noise. See if we can't get it to move out of its little place, start stomping around. Maybe we'll see something.
navigate down through that creek and stuff.
Apparently, whatever Ken and his team heard near the pond has been able to elude them.
Go back to camp for a few minutes.
But they have found a distinct sign that something has been moving through the woods, and it isn't small.
Yeah, when I was circling around over here to meet Lee, I came upon this game trail here. Something huge is moving in and out of here. I mean, that's a super highway game trail. There's a lot of matting down around with the grass and everything, the way it's been stomped down. I mean, deer can be moving in through here. I mean, good-sized deer, but they're really not gonna mat down the ground like it is right in through there.
Since there are no bears in this area and deer are too small to make this kind of trail, the team explores the rim above the reservoir, hoping for a glimpse of movement other than their own.
Right over here where we discovered it, there's a nice little small game trail. But,
Yeah, and it drops straight off about 10, 12 feet.
Finding some good stuff, but I'm still not hearing any vocalizations, and I'm not getting any creeping beam watch sensations. I don't know about you guys.
For Ken, the strange vibe that has been so much a part of these woods seems to have diminished. Whatever he and his team heard has moved into a more remote part of the forest. Back at camp, Ken and his team discuss some of the strange occurrences they have encountered during their second day.
It's just a slow process because, I mean, obviously there's always going to be a lot more questions than answers, but I think today I saw a few more tantalizing things than yesterday as far as piquing my interest in this area and the potential.
You found that large opening for game to walk through. If I was going to sit somewhere for a long period of time, I think it would be back in that area.
yeah.
Also, we found some marker-type formations, as I call them, over here in these, on the west side of the property, I believe. And even Lee got to examine some for the first time. And this is something we're going to kind of explore because there's really just a lot more to explore.
That exploration will have to wait until tomorrow. And although it will be the last day of the expedition, it could well be the most exciting.
Man, I was standing about 100 yards out there and I saw him run back this way.
The little one ran back this way. Whatever happened to the other bigger one? Did you ever see it?
No, I just heard her walking.
Day 3 of the expedition. A heavy overnight rain has soaked the woodland floor of Louisiana's Monster Central, but has done nothing to dampen the spirits of Bigfoot hunter Ken Gerhardt.
You know, this is day 3, obviously, probably the last day of our expedition, so we're gonna just hit it hard here for the next several hours and, you know, really strike out. We're hoping that the rain last night may have helped produce some good surface for finding some tracks and so forth.
For Bigfoot hunters, finding a good track is strong evidence that they are getting close. Ken and Bam Bam find several impressions as they explore the deeper woods, but none are complete enough to spark their interest. For Ken, finding a definitive track would validate his obsession. It is in a clear-cut area that Ken finally finds what he's looking for.
Well, as you can see here, we found an interesting impression in the ground. It looks very narrow compared to the classic Bigfoot tracks that have been found, but when I've been told by the people around here, this is actually pretty common. I got my casting material. This is ultra.
Ken uses a dental stock mixture to cast the footprint, which allows him not only to preserve the indentation, but also analyze it more closely.
Porridge. Now that we have the casting material in there, we can kind of make out the general shape a little bit better. As I said, it's very narrow. It's a slight curve here in the front, and I thought I could almost see a little bit of a toe definition there, but you know, that's very subjective. And we're gonna have to come back in a little while, probably a few hours, to actually lift the cast out, wait until it dries. So
While they wait for the plaster cast to dry, Ken and his team check the camera traps set up the night they arrived. The catfish Ken left as bait for the video camera trap has definitely been eaten, but apparently not by Bigfoot.
Looks like bird, strangely.
Maybe the vultures?
Yeah.
Or an owl?
That's what I'm thinking.
They were circling in this area.
So we're gonna have to outsmart the birds next time so they don't get it.
While Ken's digital camera traps may not have captured what he hoped, his cast of Bigfoot's Bigfoot is something he can take with him for further evaluation.
Yeah, it's almost identical. So based on what Jim was telling us, that's the basic structure.
I don't know, do we see anything in there that looks like a toe or a...
I suppose you could interpret that.
Yeah.
Something, a smaller ridge. There's a ridge here, ridge here.
Yeah. I definitely see an impression there. It's harder to tell down here. Well, I don't know, maybe we'll show it around to some people.
That will have to wait, because while Ken has been off collecting footprints, someone has seen the creature that might have made them.
Well, we had something exciting happen here in our last day. Jim's son Jake was in here kind of walking around, and he claims he saw what he describes as maybe one of these Bigfoot creatures run off.
What color was the amulet you saw?
Black.
Black. Just a dark. And you didn't see the other one. You just saw the smaller one run off. And
It's off the ground.
a couple of foot.
How fast was it moving?
It was pretty quick. Man, I was standing about 100 yards out there and I saw him run back this way.
Jake has spent most of his life roaming these woods, so he knows there are no bears here. But whatever the creatures were, they rested in this area overnight.
There's a big pine tree and it had some limbs and some leaves and stuff around it. And it was like a big old canopy right there where something could lay underneath it. I walked over there and there you could tell where something had been over there recently. So.
Something chewed up the mouse.
And the most interesting thing on the way in here was a full-grown pine tree had been snapped about 10 feet off the ground and pulled down across this trail. And it's one of the strangest anomalies that we've seen because there's no wind damage anywhere around it. There's no cause for that.
A lot of bark missing right here, maybe something grabbing a hold of it. That's tall.
That's weird.
Ken and his team continue to search the area for more clues, but there are no further sightings that afternoon. The weekend is now winding down, and it's time to head back to the city in the 9-to-5 life that awaits. But although this expedition has come to an end, Ken Gerhardt's hopes and expectations for the next time have not.
Lee, I can't thank you enough.
My
Appreciate you being here. And yeah, we'll spend some time looking over what we found here, and I'll definitely get some of it to you. And
we'll start planning the next expedition.
Absolutely. Look forward to it. Keep working on it.
Excellent.
Have a good trip, buddy.
Take care.
Be safe.
All right.
Back in Houston, Ken makes an assessment of the evidence gathered during the expedition. While he's been unable to capture a photographic image or cast a definable footprint that is conclusively Bigfoot's, he's been able to uncover evidence that correlates with previous expeditions. It is definitely enough to keep his hope alive.
Many researchers might tend to get discouraged because we didn't bring in the big prize on this trip. But personally, each time I go out into the field, I sort of find my desire and motivation intensifies a little bit because These creatures have eluded us one more time, but left enough tantalizing clues behind, to where we're going to intensify our efforts and hopefully go back to Monster Central and do this again real soon. The first step is just to get close enough to one of these things. So I'm just going to keep putting myself in these situations and just want to get a good eye-to-eye contact with one of these things and sort of confirm why I'm out here.